Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Cooper from the Enterprise Communications team, and this is RheemCast. Welcome, and welcome Crystal Hunt, Senior Manager of Communications for the water business. Crystal, it's just really nice to have you here. I see you all the time.
Thank you for having me.
But this is different. I really wanted to have you on RheemCast because I know that you have a very interesting, somewhat unique story to share. And the reason I've asked Crystal to join me is because I think for most of us, we make our work such a huge fixture in our lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes that does not accommodate the unexpected. And certainly, you have a story about the unexpected, about an illness that almost stopped you in your tracks. Can you just tell me in a nutshell what happened?
Yeah, so October 2022, my life essentially changed forever. October 22nd, the significance of that month and year, there was like a before that October 22nd and an after October 2022 in my life, and it really just changed the trajectory. I was having some issues and I was putting off going to the doctor. Because life gets busy. I was a mom that I wanted to do it all. I was taking my son to soccer practice. I was taking my daughter to gymnastics. I had projects to juggle at work. And so...
But you weren't taking care of yourself.
But I wasn't putting my health first. And so I had put off an appointment where I was having some issues. And I had talked to my doctor. And when I went in, there was a family history form. And what I had remembered was an aunt that told me she was BRCA positive. At the time, I had no idea what that actually meant, but I went ahead and I checked the box because if it was significant, then that could really help inform maybe what was going on with me at the time.
So let's just stop for 1 second. When you say that you had an aunt that was BRCA positive,
yes,
you're talking about a gene that is a tumor suppressant.
Yes.
Okay, so these are genes that we all have?
Yes.
And we all should have. But what? But this meant that maybe your genes weren't as healthy as they should be?
Yeah, so we all have about 20,000 genes in our body, and the BRCA1 and 2 gene we both have. So male, female, doesn't matter. We all have a BRCA1 and 2 gene, and it's linked to a chromosome in our body. And if you have a healthy BRCA1 or 2 gene, that means that your body helps suppress tumors and fight cells that grow out of control. So my BRCA2 gene, which there's a distinct difference, is broken in my gene, in my DNA. So that means that my body is unable to fight out of control cell growth like the average healthy person. I actually wasn't close to my dad's side of the family, so I went all 35 years of my life not knowing, and I had remembered that an aunt had sent me a letter that said she was positive. And so what that meant was that I had an increased risk, in BRCA specifically, that gene, when it's broken, you have an increased risk, if you're a female, of developing breast, ovarian, pancreas cancer, and melanoma. And for males, it means you have an increased risk of male breast cancer, prostate cancer, pancreas cancer, and melanoma as well. The doctor had asked me if she was BRCA positive, my aunt, and I had said yes. And I remember I didn't even know how to say BRCA. I said BRCA positive, and she stopped. And I've never really seen a physician look surprised, but she said, "You mean BRCA?" And I sat there and thought, this actually can't be a good thing based on her reaction. And she said, "We need to know, so let's take a genetic test to see if you're BRCA positive and you have a gene mutation, because if you are BRCA positive and we learn about it, it can save your life." What they had said is, you're BRCA2 positive based on your family history. You have a 95% chance of developing breast cancer. You have a 60% chance of developing ovarian cancer, a 30% chance of developing pancreas cancer, and a 20% chance of melanoma.
I probably would have stopped at 95%.
Yes, that's high. It's shocking.
Yeah. So what did you do with that?
So, I really struggle to express the words that somebody, how do they deal with getting news like that? It really just stops you in your tracks. and it just takes you to places that sometimes aren't entirely productive. But I was shocked, in those situations, nothing in life matters except for the people that you love. What they recommend is you can either have a prophylactic double mastectomy to try to knock out the high risk of breast cancer, also a total hysterectomy to try to knock out the chances of ovarian cancer, and then it's a lifetime screening of pancreas cancer, endoscopies, MRIs, CA 125 blood test,
So
and whatnot.
that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
What did you decide, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share. I think back when this had happened in October 2022, I moved pretty quickly in the decision to have a double mastectomy because when I was recommended to go see a breast cancer center. So I went to Georgia Breast Care. And when I talked to the doctor, they had told me by having a double mastectomy, I can reduce my risk from 95 to 1%. And actually,
Really, that dramatic?
that dramatic. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. But the thing is when you don't have cancer today, and making such a drastic choice like that is really challenging for some to grapple that concept,
It's challenging for me to think about, because you're basically making a decision on the either inevitability
Right.
or just the statistics.
You think about the women that are important in your life and the men that are important in your life. 1 out of 8 women, that's your mother, that's your sister, that's your best friend, that's your spouse, that's your wife, whoever significant in your life has a high chance of breast cancer in general. For me, I thought, well, that's a no-brainer. I have no choice. And I remember when I had learned that news thinking, I'm not going to see my kids graduate high school. So I had the surgery, and I remember going back to Georgia Breast Cancer. Dr. B was like an angel on earth. And she said, well, I wanted to let you know, it was 2 weeks after the surgery, that you made the right decision because you actually had stage 0 breast cancer. And at the time, I was 35 years old. And I had stage 0 breast cancer. And I just thought, wow,
And
staggering.
Nothing detected.
Nothing detected it. The point that I really want to make is knowing your history and staying on top of your health gives you so many more options than if you put it off and don't truly know. And I know that knowledge sometimes can be scary, especially if you have histories of your family that have cancer, but actually knowledge is power, and really knowing what that looks like, you can change your life. Ovarian cancer, I was also given the option after I was done having children, which that decision was made for me pretty quickly, after I was done having children, that I could have a total hysterectomy, or you could do like a lifetime of monitoring, so that's like MRIs every 6 months. But for me, I felt like I needed to end a trajectory and I needed to step forward in a new direction. So just like the prophylactic double mastectomy, I had the total hysterectomy in November. And beyond going into menopause at 35, that's a whole different experience, a whole nother podcast.
I guess.
But,
yeah. I don't even know the questions to ask about that.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm learning along the way.
Okay.
But going into menopause in your 30s is a whole different experience. But what I knew was that by removing my ovaries, and I went total hysterectomy, so that was other things involved, that I could reduce the risk entirely.
What did you learn about you during this whole thing?
Wow, that is such a big question. So what did I learn about me? It's funny because who I thought I knew prior to this, before cancer, after cancer, it's kind of how I like to divide my life. Before cancer, who I thought I was someone completely different. After cancer, it entirely changed my perspective on everything. It redefined what success looked like to me. It redefined my priorities. It redefined how I spent my time, who I spent my time with. And really, when you're going through something like that, it really takes you back and it makes you see like what's most important.
Did you feel supported at work? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no worries.
I just wonder, because I think there's something we can
Yeah.
all learn about supporting our colleagues when the unexpected
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah, you know, I had several individuals that I won't name here, but that were just really influential and gave me a lot of grace through this process. You know, I utilized our EAP program. No matter what your opinion is on therapy and mental health, I truly believe that everybody can benefit from therapy. And also, you know, I call my therapist, we talk every week, and I consider myself better and very mentally strong now. We talk every week, and I call her my life coach. But also our FMLA program. I went through 4 surgeries, major surgeries last year, and being able to take advantage of that. But also there were particular individuals that I was just blown away by their kindness and their grace, that they really told me, take care of yourself.
Yeah, I know it's not Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's worth noting that Crystal entered the world of breast cancer during October. It was Breast Cancer Awareness Month when you started this journey.
I've never thought about that.
Really?
I've never thought about that.
Well, there are surprises all around, I
yes,
guess.
There definitely are. I have a surprise for you, too.
Oh, wait, you do? Oh, well, look at this.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about your mother, so just know we are a family together.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to make me cry. That is lovely.
Yeah.
That is lovely. Okay, well, see if I can end this appropriately. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of RheemCast. I'll see you next time.